Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Thank you. Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sutara Pravik Acharya's Divine Grace by Charan Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namakacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Gangamai ki jai, Shri Jamuna Mai ki jai, Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani ki jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is chapter 70, text 44. Yasha malam devi yasha pratitam rasayam Bhumaucha te bhuvana mangala digvitanam Mandakiniti divi bhogavatiti chado Gangeti cheha charana bhupunati vishvam Yashamalam devi yashaha pratitam rasayam Bhumaucha te bhuvana mangala digvitanam Mandakiniti divi bhogavatiti chado Gangeti cheha charanambu punati vishvam Devotees. Yashamalam divi yashaha pratitam rasayam Bhumocha te bhuvana bangala digvitanam Mandakiniti divi bhogavatiti chado Gangeti cheha charanambu punati vishvam Yasha whose Amalam spotless Divi in heaven Yasha fame Pratitam disseminated Rasayam in the subterranean region Bhumau on the earth Cha and Te your Bhuvana for all the worlds Mangala O creator of good fortune Dik in or of the universal directions Vitanam the expansion or decorative canopy Mandakiniti called Mandakini Divi in heaven Bhogavatiti called Bhogavati Cha and Adaha below Gangaiti called Ganga Cha, and Iha, here on the earth. Charana, from your feet. Ambu, the water. Punati, purifies. Vishvam, the whole universe. Translation. My dear Lord, you are the symbol of everything auspicious. Your transcendental name and fame is spread like a canopy all over the universe, including the higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. The transcendental water that washes your lotus feet is known in the higher planetary systems as the Mandakini River, in the lower planetary systems as the Bhagavati, and in this earthly planetary system as the Ganges. This sacred transcendental water flows throughout the entire universe, purifying wherever it goes. Please repeat, my dear Lord, you are the symbol of everything auspicious. Your transcendental name and fame is spread like a canopy all over the universe, including the higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. The transcendental water that washes your lotus feet is known in the higher planetary systems as the Mandakini River, in the lower planetary systems as the Bhagavati, and in this earthly planetary system as the Ganges. This sacred transcendental water flows throughout the entire universe, purifying wherever it goes. Purport by the servants of A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Srila Prabhupada. This translation is based on Srila Prabhupada's Krishna. Sridhar Swami mentions that the word Digvitanam indicates that Lord Krishna's transcendental glories spread throughout the universe like a cooling canopy over the universal directions. In other words, the whole world can find shelter under the cooling shade of the Lord's lotus feet. Thus the Lord is Bhuvana Mangala, the symbol of everything auspicious for this world. Om Jnana Tirumandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unminitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Vishesha Sunyavadi Paschyatate Satarine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Ve Krishna Das Goswami Niti Namine Namo Sinikashaya Prabhupada Priyate Sudrida Sudhi Nisyamyam Tasha Vakinavadine. So good morning, everyone. This is a very powerful verse that's basically is outlining the position of the Lord and the permeating and permanent position of the Lord. The Lord, who is Bhuvana Mangala, He's the source of everything auspicious. He's the source. And we know that in this material world, it's hard to find those things, or it's nearly impossible to actually encounter those things which are auspicious. And what does, we hear this term a lot, auspicious. So if he's the symbol of everything auspicious, the Lord, then what actually constitutes auspiciousness for us personally? So I was researching it a little bit, and actually Srila Prabhupada's, everything he speaks about is auspicious for one thing, but also he taught that true auspiciousness is not at all material. It's spiritual, 100%. And it's dependent on entirely resting our trust and faith in Krishna and engaging in the process of Krishna consciousness through our process of devotion and service. And in Prabhupada's teachings, of course, the top thing that we can do to bring about auspiciousness for ourselves and others is chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And serving the Lord and his devotees as well. So the chanting and the service. And then, of course, Prabhupada highlights other things which are auspicious for us to undergo or undertake, which is the auspicious time, Brahmuhurta, and that's waking up early, generally in between 3 and 5 a.m. is considered Brahmuhurta. It's about an hour and a half before the sun rises. And that's the best and most auspicious time for prayer and meditation and service, chanting, because the atmosphere then is not in the mode of passion. It's actually very calm. Of course, we obey the Ekadasi Vratas, which are very auspicious, not only to avoid things, we're taught to avoid grains, beans, and pulses like that, but to actually take advantage of that auspicious time to chant more, or read more, or imbibe or serve more with devotion. And of course, there are times of the year that are considered auspicious. Of course, Kartik, we know, is the most auspicious month. This year we have an extra month called Purushottama Mas, which is considered also an auspicious month because who gets extra time? But the Purushottama Mas, or the Purushottama month, will come at a time when there's sort of a reset of time itself on the Vedic calendar. That's why this year Janmashtami is a little later than usual. So these spiritual months, times are very auspicious to, of course, read more, serve more, chant more, remember more. And associating with Vaishnavas in person and by hearing about the Vaishnavas, the appearance and disappearance day of Vaishnavas are considered great Vaishnavas are very auspicious. And for us to sort of celebrate, recognize those days. Yesterday we heard quite a lot about Narottama Das Thakur Mahashai, who's in our Acharya line. A few days before that we heard all about Lord Nityananda, the spiritual master of all the worlds. And so we can take these days when we hear about to create that auspiciousness in our life. And there's actually one thing that Prabhupada had read or wrote in the Bhagavad Gita, and this is actually in chapter 10. And particularly, I'm just going to read a little bit about what Prabhupada says about this term. One should not try to understand Krishna as a human being. As stated previously, only a foolish person thinks him to be a human being. This is again expressed in a different way here. A man who is not foolish, who is intelligent enough to understand the constitutional position of the Godhead, is always free from all sinful reactions. Anything done under the direction of Krishna is transcendental. It cannot be contaminated by the material reactions. which may be auspicious or inauspicious. The conception that there are things auspicious and inauspicious in the material world is more or less a mental concoction, because there is nothing auspicious in the material world. Everything is inauspicious because the very material mask is inauspicious. We simply imagine it to be auspicious. Real auspiciousness depends on the activities in Krishna consciousness in full devotion and service. Therefore, if we all want our activities to be auspicious, then we should work under the directions of the Supreme Lord. Such directions are given in authoritative scriptures such as Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, or from a bona fide spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is the representative of the Supreme Lord, his direction is directly the direction of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Master, saintly persons, and scriptures direct in the same way. There is no contradiction in these three sources. All actions done under such direction are free from the reactions of pious or impious activities of this material world. The transcendental attitude of the devotee in the performance of activities is actually that of renunciation, and this is called sannyas. Anyone acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord is actually a sannyasi and a yogi, and not a man who has simply taken the dress of a sannyasi or a pseudo-yogi. So we hear this from Prabhupada quite a lot, that we must, there's actually no way around taking the directions and submitting to the requests of the bona fide spiritual master. We hear a lot of people, a lot of devotees who protest various directions by spiritual masters. And I would say probably 99.9% of the time, when one is protesting the directions of the spiritual master, it's simply because they don't want to follow the directions of the spiritual master. They're choosing to do their own thing and hope for the best result. And thereby, that immediately creates that inauspiciousness. Inauspiciousness are those things, as we've just understood from Srila Prabhupada. Inauspiciousness are those things that are attached to the material mask, as he calls it, which means the all-pervasive goings-on, pastimes, or whatever you call these activities in this material world, which are mostly motivated by one's own self-interest. And if someone has only their self-interest in mind, then immediately that's a red flag, because that, you can understand, is part of that webbing of this material mask and is inauspicious. And from the devotee's end, from our end, we can actually help to create that auspiciousness in our movement, particularly. Really need some help creating more auspiciousness by propounding the hearing and chanting about Krishna. Now, we hear in the 9 processes of devotional service, particularly, the very first thing that we're instructed to do in those 9 processes is Shravanam, hearing. And that's where everything begins. In this verse, Narada Muni is speaking about Krishna's name pervading, and his glories, his pastimes pervading all parts of the universe, just like the Ganges pervades this planetary system. We know water, when it spills or it moves, it has a very it has an uncanny knack of going into all places, all cracks and crevices, all things. It's all pervasive. Water's all pervasive. And here, Narada Muni is speaking about the all-pervasive quality of Lord Krishna's name and fame and his pastimes. I'm just going to read a couple of the purports from the acharyas that kind of unpack this a little bit. Your spotless fame spread in the heavens, earth, and lower planets, covering the houses of the directions like a canopy, purifies the universe. In the same way, your foot water purifies the universe. Because their hearts have been purified, they desire to see you. And that can be said for anyone who hears the holy name, hears about Krishna. Sometimes people hear, but they're not really hearing. They're not giving that oral reception. They're just sort of, it's another thing that's passing by their brain and their ears. They're not really actually hearing. But if one does hear, and hears with just a little bit of attention, we know that that's immediately purificatory. The holy names and any pastime, anything about Krishna is very purifying, and it will spread like a canopy and purify the entire universe if the canopy is put over that universe, which means from the devotee standpoint, from the persons that know about this soothing canopy, this water, this water of life, so to speak, is the chanting of the holy names and speaking more about Krishna. And that was by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Jiva Goswami states, having described the glories of hearing and chanting, Narada describes a unique feature of hearing the Lord's glories. Your glories which destroy all contamination in the hearers, Amalam Yashaha, which are auspicious for the universe and which are supreme because of creating the greatest auspiciousness, Vitanam, are famous everywhere, Pratitam, since you have the most pure reputation. And Sanatana Goswami writes, what can be said? Those who see or touch you become purified. By your fame, the universe becomes purified and auspicious. O Lord, auspicious for the world. By your fame, the 14 worlds become auspicious. Or your fame spreads in all directions to make the world auspicious. Your fame purifies. It is similar to the purifying power of water from your lotus feet. The word cha indicates that all the water on the 3 levels purifies, though of the 3, Ganga is most purifying. And we have that right here. When we use the Achaman cup, the water in the Achaman cup has been imbibed with the mantras to bring the Ganges to the Achaman cup. And whoever uses Achaman to purify themselves when they do the worship is automatically being purified by this Ganges water that has been called. Everything that we touch in a spiritual realm or in the course of our worship or as we go about our duties that are maybe seemingly sometimes unrelated to worship, if given by the spiritual master, all those things that are touched become purified because that instruction is coming right from Krishna. Even things like shoveling snow or washing dishes or all the things that, so many things that are required in the service of the Lord. And of course, when we're hearing about this auspiciousness that comes from the Lord exclusively, all auspiciousness is exclusively coming from the Lord, and only by His mercy are we able to get a little bit of that auspiciousness into our lives on this material planet. Otherwise, we have no other way to capture the mangala, the auspiciousness of the spiritual realm. To faithfully hear and chant the glories of the Lord with firm conviction, and to inquire submissively to the spiritual master to take their instruction and do those things that are auspicious and purifying are what this verse and actually what our Krishna conscious lives are basically about. I see sometimes devotees tend to want to go off on tangents about, this or that, whether it's something in the world, politics or sports or whatever. And many times, that polluted consciousness, when you're getting in touch with those inauspicious things, unfortunately does translate, it carries over into one's Krishna consciousness. It can't be helped. For our meager human brain, we can't really turn off, the inauspicious things that we come in contact with. We can't turn those off. The only way we can turn them off is to actually actively avoid them. Avoid these things. Avoid those things which create inauspiciousness in our lives. It's actually, it's a little heartbreaking when I see or hear of some devotees who choose to blaspheme others, blaspheme other devotees, or blaspheme, Krishna, or some part of the bhakti process, or aren't really taking it in as they should. Because Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, has given us these tools. He's given us a whole tool chest full of things that we can put on as armor to kind of avoid having to get into those inauspicious parts of this material world. And as anyone can attest who's been out in the material world, and even now, obviously, when we hear and see, sometimes it's unavoidable. We're not living under a rock or in a cave, so we can't really avoid a lot of what's happening in the world. But when we see and hear some of those things, it's shocking, and it's very heinous and just unbelievable to note that also there's Krishna in parts and bits in this world alongside of this tidal wave of all these horrific things going on in this world. Horrific acts, people's actions, people's words, their thinking. It's very inauspicious. We're surrounded by inauspiciousness as devotees. And the devotees, the best thing we can do to counteract and avoid is to not take it in, not take part in that. Be in the world, but not of the world. That's a separate sort of category from us. And since Prabhupada had given us this amazing armor, which we're able to each morning when we come to Mangalarti, Mangala Arti, Mangala, the most auspicious Arti of the day. We have that armor that guards us against Maya and those things that are inauspicious, that guards us against those things which can disrupt our bhakti practice or disturb our mind. We're able to have a little bit more of a protective cloak against those things. And of course, us chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 1,728 times minimum per day is our main cloak. And to the degree that you have faith and love and trust in those holy names to purify the mind and the heart and transform the thinking, to that degree, Krishna will reciprocate. Krishna is there in his holy names, and he will indeed reciprocate if we're there, if we're actually present and connecting with Krishna to receive those, those gifts, those wonderful, purifying, auspicious, bits of bhakti that Krishna allows to seep into our consciousness, seep into our being, seep into our soul. If we allow, but we have to endeavor. There's some endeavor, When we go out on Harinam and people are walking by and they're hearing the holy names, it's very powerful. Sometimes people have their AirPods in and they're not, they're very tuned out and they're not interested, it's so sad. It's like the ostrich sticking his head in the sand. It's very sad, but sometimes we'll encounter people that, they want to hear. They're very open. They're very eager to have something auspicious in their life. Most persons, it's said, are very unfortunate. Without that bit of auspiciousness from Krishna, we cannot have any good fortune. Without Srila Prabhupada bringing Krishna consciousness to the West, we wouldn't be sitting here awash in this good fortune. We're so fortunate. And those who can understand that great fortune have that gratitude, and Krishna recognizes those things and he reciprocates in kind. The spiritual master reciprocates in kind when we can understand how grateful we should be and how fortunate we are to have these wonderful things, this arsenal, the katha, the sadhu sangha, prasadam, mostly hearing and chanting, because when the chanting or the katha goes into the ears, there's a special channel that goes from the ears right into the heart, and that's how the heart is forever changed, bit by bit by bit. And it seems like it's minuscule, it's just small work, bits and bits each day. But everyone can pray, please let me be as Krishna conscious as I am today. Because we've also seen that when inauspiciousness begins to overtake the auspiciousness in a devotee's life, that inauspiciousness carries them away. They're unable to recover, and only by the grace of the Lord will they be able to understand their great fortune someday. And we can pray for persons that don't have this sort of auspiciousness in their life. We can pray for them that they will accept, and they will open their mind and open their heart to be able to receive those gifts that Prabhupada particularly, and Krishna, of course, spiritual master is the localized aspect of Krishna. So Prabhupada, and by way of Lord Krishna, we can have all of that auspiciousness in our lives. So we'll pray for auspiciousness in the lives of the devotees and auspiciousness in the lives of everyone in this world. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Golokananda ki jai. Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hari Bol.
Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Ago Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobha
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakale Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Giram Gaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami
Yashomati Nandana Brajaparo Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Yashomati Nandana Brajaparo Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Gokula Ranjana Kana Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara Kaliyadamana Vedana Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasha Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasha Vipina Purandara Navina Nagara Bada Bamsi Badana Suvasa Bamsi Badana Suvasa Bamsi Badana Braja Jana Palana Surakula Nashana Nurakula Nashana Nanda Godana Rakwala Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Sundarananda Gopala Yamuna Tatachara Gopi Vasanahara Rasarasika Kripa Moya Tadachara gopi vasanahara rasa rasika kripa maya Sri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natabara Sri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natabara Vakati Vinoda Sraya Vakati Vinoda Sraya Yashomati Nandana Brajabaro Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Gokula Ranjana Gopi Parana Nana Marana Marohara Vipina Purandara Navina Nagarabara Govinda Bharava Navanita Taskara Sri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Natabara Bhakati Vinoda Sraya Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Nanda Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Nanda Shri Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Shri Vrindavan Dham. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Shri Vrindavan Dham. Lord Lord Krishna is beloved son of Yashoda, transcendental lover in the land of Braja, the delight of Gokula, known by the nickname Kana, the wealth of the lives of the gopis, the attractor of Cupid, and punisher of the serpent Kaliya. These pure holy names of Lord Hari are full of sweet nectarian pastimes. Lord of the 12 forests of Braja, ever youthful, the best of lovers, player of the flute, and excellent dresser, protector of the inhabitants of Braja, destroyer of demonic dynasties, keeper and tender of Nanda's cows, giver of pleasure to cows, land, and spiritual senses, husband of the goddess of fortune, butter thief, and beautiful little cowherd boy of Nanda Maharaj, wanderer of the Jamuna riverbanks, thief of the garments of the gopis, enjoyer of the mellows of the rasa dance, very merciful, lover and beloved of Sri Radha, the great dancer of Vrindavan, and the only shelter of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Sri Nam Kirtan ki jai. Probably. Mama Vahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitadana Ananda Sarva Shaktis Tatra Nitagya Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishangiha Ganina Nuragaha Trinadapi Sunichena Tarurapi Shahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Va Jagadishakamaye Mama Janmani Janmanishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Haituki Twai Ahinanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitamam Bashame Bhavambudo Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Stita Dhuli Sadrishtim Vinchintaya Nayanam Galara Srudaraya Vadanam Gadgadarudargira Ulakar Nichitam Vabukada Tava Namagrahane Bhavishyati Yuga Yitam Nimeshena Chakshusha Pravishayitam Sunyayitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Vidahe Name Ashli Shava Pararatam Binastumam Adarshamam Varmahatam Karutova Yata Tata Vavidadantalampato Mad Prana Nastas Dusaena Banaparaha. To read the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, Out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.